Okay.
Minecraft.
All right, so today, let's see, are we on YouTube?
Not yet, almost.
Oh. Okay.
Facebook gets the preview.
Facebook gets the preview.
They get to see the behind the
Facebook,
scenes.
while we're getting on YouTube, we are talking about how Mike and I paid off $20,000 of debt on $22,000 a year. Are you sneaking out?
Yeah, bye.
Okay.
Super stealthy here.
All right. Okay, we're on both.
All right. Empty hammock. Hey, hello. We're working on our thing next week.
Which thing?
Well, we're supposed to be doing a video for the Homestead Network, and
Empty hammock was first.
I haven't.
The Minuteman Homestead. All right.
Yay! And Ava, hello.
Hi,
Thank
Ava.
you for joining us, guys.
And we've got.
Let's see, Kathy and Colleen, hello on Facebook.
Welcome.
So I'm going to say just something real quick. Today we're talking about how we paid off $20,000 of debt in 5 years on $22,000 a year income. We did that, remember?
We did that.
And we lived
Way
to tell
back in
about
the
it. I know. And we lived to tell about it. So first, I wanted to say...
Got a lot of highs here. Hi, everybody.
Well, hello, Katie and Patricia. And Brittany and Colleen, another Colleen, and Linda. All right. Anybody else on YouTube?
Let me switch over there and see.
We have Cat Lover and Big Bear. Hello, Big Bear. I'm so sorry we missed you yesterday. We had VBS we had to finish, so didn't mean to miss you. And Simply Circus. All right, guys. So first, I want to tell Rebecca, thank you. One of our readers, Rebecca, sent me this the other day, and it's a migraine relief magazine. And I thought she sent me a 3-page handwritten letter.
Wow.
I know. And so I just want to say thank you for that. That was very thoughtful. Actually, it gave me some ideas to try. Honestly, I haven't tried migraine medicine yet, and I'm thinking about going into the doctor and asking them for it because, yeah, it's pretty bad and it never ends for me. And so then, one other thing. Ruth heard us talking about how, okay, so today we're going old style. See that tea kettle there? Right there? So,
Oh, yes.
you remember the tea kettle?
I know where this is going.
So I proceeded, when we lived in this house back in 1997, I think, to fuse this tea kettle to our burner because I left it on and it burned dry and it fused to the burner. My wonderful husband here ever so lovingly chiseled it off.
Actually, I unplugged the burner and had to go find another one in Moscow, Idaho, which was like 2 hours from home.
But he chiseled it off, and you should have seen there was porcelain stuck on the burner. I did it so bad. So Ruth, one of our viewers, ever so kindly sent me this week, and it's an electric tea kettle. And I appreciate that so much because now I don't have to worry. Because, like, my fear now is always that I'm going to burn the tea kettle again.
You burn water, I don't know.
Yeah, I proceeded to burn water.
Actually, it was making a clicking sound, and it was crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So, anyway, thank you guys, Rebecca and Ruth. I really appreciate it.
Got a few more checked in. Somebody from Lawrence, Mass.
Oh my, Denise said she left her crock pot on for 3 days. Wow.
Whoa.
Okay, that's not good. Thankfully
Wow.
there was no fire. Yeah, I'm horrible about forgetting things. And
Oh, Sylvia checking in from Rome.
oh wow,
And
Rome.
Shelley from Windsor, Ontario.
How cool. Well, that's pretty nifty. Well, hello guys. So I just wanted to remind everyone that our books, Dining is Not, Oops, but Dig Out of Debt, Menus, Quick and Easy, and Penny Pension are all on sale this week for 50% off. So go to livingonadime.com and click on the store, or if you're mobile, click on the little link that says Get Our Books Here. They're on sale until Tuesday, so grab them. We're trying to get our garage cleared out so we can park again. Yeah. Okay, so today we're talking about how Mike and I paid off
A ton of debt.
on little money. So Mike brought up a good point, and don't forget you have to talk louder because everyone says they can't hear you.
Hi, everyone.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Mike brought up a really good point. You want to tell your point about
Which point?
the debt and how we paid it off? And
Oh, you mean? Oh, well, yeah.
So to put it in perspective for everyone says, "Oh wow, you paid off $20,000 of debt on $22,000 a year income in 5 years."
Well,
so,
I was thinking, some people probably think, well, that's $20,000. I make $300,000 a year or whatever, and $20,000 is nothing to me. Well, if that's the case for you, it's really what we did is we paid off a year's income in
5 years.
In 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
out of our income for 5 years, we paid off a year's worth of debt.
Yeah. So
if you make $300,000 a year, it'd be like you paying off $300,000 in 5 years. And really, if you make that much, you could probably pay off more than 1/5.
Oh yeah. And to put that in perspective, that means that we took 1/5 of our income every year and put it towards debt. So we put $5,000 towards debt every single year to get our debt paid off.
Well, and when we made $22,000 a year, that was a significant chunk of money we needed for day-to-day living. But if you make a lot more than that, then that's the extra fluffy income. So you could probably pay off even a greater amount.
So one of the things, so I'm going old school today because we don't have these scanned, and I went through our photo album and found some pictures. So I'm going to kind of talk through and show you some pictures, and don't laugh too hard.
Wow, it's dark today.
Yeah,
It's
wait, we forgot. Guess what Mike did for me? My birthday is 2 weeks from yesterday, and guess what he did for me? You got to jump up and go show him. So I am so excited. I've wanted one of these forever.
You're going to have to tell me if it's in the shot.
So
Can you see it now?
Mike's going to get it in the shot. Let's see, go up, go up, go up. Can you go back anymore, or are you stuck? One. There! Can you see he got my lamp up? You remember my $35 Tiffany lamp that I got from the garage sale that was worth $400 and some odd dollars? He got it up today. I'm so excited. Okay, everyone saw it. It looks so pretty, and I love it. It just finishes off my kitchen, and I am super, super happy. So I had to tell you guys that because the poor guy spent an hour today hanging it and had one problem after another. So anyway.
It's all right. I'm handy.
Yes. They don't find you. What you're saying?
The women don't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. Except I stole that from Red Green.
Yes. Aren't you glad I find you both?
Yes.
Okay. So to start off with, when we did this is what I looked like. And now I see this and I'm like, how was I even functioning? I have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. Whoops. And this is the condition I was in right after we got married. And
oh, I'm so sorry.
so I looked pretty bad. I could not physically work if I wanted to. If my life depended on it, I would be living on the street because there's no way in this condition I could have worked. So we did all of this on one income because I just couldn't do it. So we got married, and Mike had $3,000 of debt. I'm going to go through the debt and what it was real quick to give you perspective. So when we got married, Mike had $3,000 of debt. And then we had a couple of car wrecks, and our cars, Mike drove off a cliff once. And no,
not on purpose.
But he literally drove off a cliff. And he left the house that day at...
I always wondered what that would be like, and now I know. I don't recommend it, by the way.
He worked 100 miles from home because we lived in Idaho, and he had gotten a job in Washington and was commuting 100 miles each way. And one day, a deer ran in front of him in a snowstorm, and he went off a cliff. So we had a couple of cars that we had to replace. And then our daughter was born and put in NICU, and the insurance would not pay for Flight for Life because she was born in a 10-bed hospital and had a hole in her lung and had to be Flight for Life out.
We don't know why they wouldn't pay. They just wouldn't.
Yeah, they refused to pay for the Flight for Life. So that was $12,000 of it. But so anyway, that's how we acquired the debt. It wasn't from mismanagement except for the first $3,000 that Mike had when he was single.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you saying?
But that's what the debt
was mismanagement.
But that's okay. Mike grew up in a house where his parents did not teach him anything about finances. they wouldn't even talk about finances or anything. So he knew nothing, and he does great now, and he was willing to learn. So we lived in Estes Park, Colorado when we got married, and we had that $3,000. And then
we had very little money at the time.
Yeah, he was making $6 an hour at the time. Then we moved to Texas because he's a video producer, and he thought maybe he could get a job down there better, which is where he grew up, was in Texas. So I thought, well, maybe I can get it better. But in the 6 months that we were down there, this was the condition I was in the entire time. I mean, I literally could not get off my bed because the heat and humidity just killed me. So then we wanted to move to somewhere cooler, but we couldn't we didn't want to come back to Colorado. We had problems with his folks and didn't want to come back to Colorado. So we moved to Idaho. And literally, I had a cousin that was in Idaho that I'd seen once in my life, and I called him and I said, "What do you think of Idaho?" And he said, "Oh, we love it." So we were like, "Okay, let's go." No job, no place to live, nothing. We just literally packed everything up that we owned and moved to Idaho. And it was a horrible trip, but we finally made it. And so then when we were in Idaho, we rented a house, and he got a job in another town. So we moved to the town, and we bought this little house. So this was the first house that we bought, and we paid $27,000 for it.
It was the Barney house.
It was the Barney house. Everybody in the town called it the Barney house.
In Nez Perce, Idaho, and if any of you are from there,
yeah,
then the whole town's gonna know.
Yeah,
that's where they went.
There was a town of 400 people. Yeah, it was a town of 400 people, and he got a job there as the appraiser, for this county. And to put it in perspective, when this was in the constitutionalist days, and so
like the Ruby Ridge days and stuff.
Yeah, so tell them what they said about guns and coming in and stuff. And
oh yeah, well I was the chief commercial appraiser for the county, and they would say, yeah, if anyone comes in to the courthouse and they have weapons on them, just don't mention it, don't say anything about it, just help them out. And they were kind of doing some fraudulent things with their titles for their vehicles, and they'd say, you're not law enforcement, just process the paperwork and go on with that. And the same thing they told me, if you go out and you're doing appraisal work and you see some kind of plants or something out there that
just move on.
You're not law enforcement. And I was thinking, okay, that's fine.
So he worked for the county for $6 an hour. And then during that time, we thought we were just going to live there, raise the kids there, and that kind of thing. And so we started fixing up our little house. And one of the things we did was plant a bunch of gardens. And so you can see here, this is one of our gardens. This here was a fire pit, trash pit that they had. And nothing would grow there. So we took and found these bricks in the dumpster. Mike found them. He went one day.
Somebody had demolished a house.
Yeah.
And they left all the bricks from this, 80-year-old house laying next to the dumpster, and they were so cool looking.
And so then we found wood chips also down the street. They were mulching. And so we got the wood chips, and we made this little garden out of nothing, literally. I mean, it was completely free. And you can see later, here it is when it's just starting. I put my little bird bath there. And then here it is in the end. I made this really pretty garden in the end. And so one of the ways we saved money was we tried not to buy anything we didn't have to. If we could get it free, we would. And we put in our vegetable garden here. We just mulched everything. I did back to Eden gardening before it was even a thing. I've used wood chips mulch for 25 years now, and it's the only way I'll go. And we got all of these for free. So I grew here, let's see, I had onions and strawberries and broccoli. We had some rhubarb in there and tomatoes.
Yeah, that was so awesome.
Yeah, and I started for my birthday when we had moved out. My dad and Mike built me. My dad helped us. Well, it's kind of strange. My parents were divorced, but my dad helped my mom move from Kansas to Idaho.
It was a very interesting...
Yeah, my parents had an interesting relationship for several years because they were divorced, but they were still friends. So here is my greenhouse where I started everything. Well, we were in Idaho and it was too cold. We got snow on the 4th of July.
Sorry.
Stop.
I'm worse than Jack.
I know. So I grew all my tomatoes in big buckets in the greenhouse that we collected just from the side of the road and friends and that kind of thing. And so I grew all of my tomatoes, and then, what's this one? Oh, and my beans. I grew beans.
That was so cool. Especially since the season was so short there. We would put there was a time where we put a little space heater out there, and it used like 2 cents an hour.
Yeah.
And it would keep it just warm enough not to freeze. So we were able to extend the season like 3 months, right?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were able to get a lot of fruits and vegetables from that because we had that little greenhouse. And I think the greenhouse cost like a total of $50 to put it up for the whole thing. And so Mike and Dad did a really good job, putting it up for me. Terry wants to know, do you currently garden? Yes. I did a garden tour video on YouTube if you go and check. Right now I have mostly flowers, but if, let's say, as Michael likes to say, the fecal matter ever hits the oscillation unit and we need to feed ourselves, I can easily rip out all those flowers and put them in. I have my soil ready. I have my wood chips ready. And I have my soil built up, which is what I have been doing at the moment, is getting everything built up and ready. Now, we aren't traditional, we're not homesteaders. I know we're on the homesteading network, but...
kind of half in that world.
Yeah, we're half in that world and half in, I don't know, we don't belong anywhere, actually.
We're not of this world.
Yeah, we're not. But... we know how to do this stuff ourselves. We don't have cows or chickens or anything, but only because I'm physically ill. We're killing ourselves trying to keep the business going, living on a dime going, and that kind of thing. And so we really don't have the time or energy to do that now. But we do a lot of things ourselves. And so pretty much all our how-to stuff, we built our shed ourselves, everything. We do ourselves, and we are very self-reliant. We're not self-sufficient, so...
but we could be pretty quickly if we had to be.
Yeah, we could be pretty quick, and so...
we do have a lot of experience with a lot of those elements.
Yeah, and living in Idaho in the middle of nowhere really helped us, do all that. So, another thing that we did... Now,
I do have a couple questions.
Oh, yes, questions.
Well,
okay.
Since we're on gardens, Julie asked, have you ever had a raised garden bed?
Yeah, okay.
Our strawberries were all raised beds,
yeah,
right?
I only do raised beds, but I do a modified raised bed. I saw Mel Bartholomew back in 1992, I think, maybe, somewhere around there, start the square foot gardening, and after that, that's the only kind of gardening I do. I only do raised beds. Now, you can't tell my gardens are raised beds because they're traditional looking, but it is the raised bed methods, the square foot garden method from Mel Bartholomew. So yeah.
Not sure which one you want to answer first, but Meredith says, I tend to kill everything. What advice do you have for someone starting from the beginning? And also Karen says that's a lot of work. How do you do it with fibro?
I just do a little bit at a time. So every day I'll work 10 or 15 minutes, although now... like this year, I have maybe spent 2 hours in my garden, and I haven't done anything. And really, once you get your wood chips in place and your soil built up, it doesn't take near as long as starting at the very beginning. So it was hard. We hauled in a lot of soil, compost. We hauled in a lot of wood chips. But now it's kind of maintaining itself. I mean, I haven't spent more than 2 hours this year, and it's looking really good. So, I mean, I need to do some things, but...
well, and didn't we do a couple garden videos last year where we sort of showed a little bit about things like the wood chips and stuff like that?
Yeah, go on YouTube to some of our older videos, type in gardening, probably search, and you'll see some of the things that we've done with the gardens. No, I have not done the straw bale method. But honestly, it's a lot of work. You gotta find the bales. You gotta haul them. I don't have the strength to lift them. I mean, Mike would happily do it, but to me, I've already got the method or the beds in. So I would like to try it. It looks interesting, so I'd like to try it, and it makes a lot of sense. So if you haven't ever started, I would try it because I think it's a feasible and it makes sense for a method of gardening. Yeah. So
somebody said, what wood chips do you use? And that'd probably be from the video also, right?
yeah, so I did a video on wood chips, but I just get the free ones from the tree trimming company. So there's a guy down the street from us.
In one of the videos, we actually drive down there with you guys on the video.
Yeah, so check out our wood chips video on YouTube because we have that. So we're telling you all these things because these are the things we do to keep so that we didn't have to spend the money on these things and we could put it on our debt. Okay, so we did.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but there's two things. The gardening, I mean, we did eat some of it, and that was helpful, but also it was a hobby for you. So it was partly saving money by coming up with something that we didn't have to buy that we needed, but also it was partly entertaining ourselves so we didn't feel the need to go spend more money on things we didn't need.
That was our hobbies, and that's what we did instead of going out.
It was exciting.
Yeah, it was fun. So we did things like, we lived in a little tiny house, but it's things like, okay, I fixed up my kitchen, and I liked my kitchen, but we had this nasty yellow stove that I hated.
Well, and even the kitchen was pretty nasty before. It was the 1970s kitchen.
Yeah, and we went and fixed it up, but I had this nasty stove, and then I had this nasty carpet that I absolutely hated. But we didn't spend the money to go out and replace them. We spent the money paying off our debt. And so we didn't, we put up with those things, and the stove was still functioning. It was just ugly. The carpet was still functioning, but it was just ugly. And so we didn't go and spend money on things like home improvement things that we didn't need and that type of thing. And so another thing we did was I got pregnant, and, well...
You make it sound like you did that by yourself.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. We decided to have kids. And so when I got pregnant, I got put on bed rest with my first pregnancy. Well, this here was a lot of my entertainment. So can you guys see that? That was where what is now called Living on a Dime got started back in 1997. And that's the computer that I originally typeset the book, Not Just Beans, which is called Dining on a Dime now. It's now this book, but it originally, let's see, oh dear, I got my pictures.
And the computer was so slow. We would change a couple words and we would hit save. It would go for like 10 minutes saving.
This is the original book, and some people may still have this, but this is a picture of the original book that we did.
But they were pretty harsh about describing the picture, right?
Yeah, they hated the picture. The picture was supposed to be a joke because I was always burning food. So it was kind of a joke that I wrote a cookbook when I was always burning food. So, you know, my brother drew the picture, and I loved it because I thought it was funny. But nobody got the name Not Just Beans. Nobody was able to, figure out what it meant, which is fine. So I was put on bed rest, and that's how the book started, was I read the Tightwad Gazette, and she said, everyone keeps asking me to write a cookbook, but I hate cooking and I don't want to do it. It's too much work. And I thought, well, I could do that. I've got a ton of good recipes. My mom and grandma had a bunch of recipes they'd given me that were really good. They're really good cooks. And so I went ahead and put it together. And it was things like, every time we would take potato salad to something, they would say, that's the best potato salad I've ever had. And it really is. Those are the best deviled eggs I've ever had. How do you make your mashed potatoes? So I put all those together thinking, oh, maybe this would be a side income and help us get our debt paid off and pay off our house and that kind of thing. Didn't quite work out that way. But that's our that's our video from last week on how we earn our income. Go back and check out that, and you'll see how it didn't work out. But anyway.
Actually, did you explain how Not Just Beans name came out? Because Carolyn says she loves the name.
So the name came because the thought behind it was you don't have to live on beans to save money on your grocery bill, because I hated beans at the time. I like them now a little bit better, but at the time
I had an impact on you.
You did, yes. So I eat them now, but at the time I hated beans, and I wanted the point to be you don't have to eat beans or clip coupons to save money on your grocery bill. That was the whole point. And so, we did a few craft shows and that kind of thing. This is older ones when we changed the cover and changed the name. This was when we did a women's fair in Wichita. There's Mom helping me set it up. And then there's me with the book. Oh my, wow. And then here's the whole setup. And we had Financial Freedom Begins in the Kitchen. And so it's amazing. We sold 2,500 of these, of the original book. We sold 2,500 of that. It was crazy.
You still hear from people that are still following us.
We have people that still say their original Not Just Beans cookbook has completely fallen apart, and they're buying Dining on a Dime now, which is the same book. If you have it, it's the same book, but Dining has 2 more chapters in there than Not Just Beans. So anyway, the thing is it took me literally every time I went to save on that computer. I'm not exaggerating. It took 5 minutes.
So it was like, what if the
save.
power goes out, we'll lose it. But if we click save, we'll have to go to lunch and wait for it to finish saving.
Yeah, it would take 5 to 10 minutes to save every single time I hit save on that computer. But we just used it because we couldn't afford anything else. And I had this idea for a book that I thought would be great, and we just made do with what we had.
Well, and also in those days, another thing that we did saving at the time was I built all my computers from scratch.
Yeah.
And so the parts were a lot less expensive than whole computers. And of course, that one, I think it wasn't too long after that when I rebuilt a new one.
Yeah.
But we were just trying to get by with what we had.
Yeah.
And that was kind of our way we did a lot of things, because in those days, we burned wood for heat.
Yep.
We scavenged a lot of stuff, which we explain in our videos, like on dumpster diving and picking up things from the side of the road.
We had a wood stove, and that was the only way we heated our house, and it cost us $25 a month for electric and water and sewer was our electric bill and our water and sewer, because we didn't have to pay for air conditioning because we were in Idaho and it was snowed on the 4th of July.
And we just did physical labor for our heat.
Mm-hmm.
Like her cousin and I would go out, talk to somebody that owned a forest area where some of their trees had died, and we'd go cut the dead trees and fill up enough wood for both of us for the whole winter. Yeah,
so he worked to pay for our heat. He worked instead of us paying for heat. And so that really helped a lot. So
and we learned a lot of fixing things ourselves and building things.
Yeah, we fixed everything ourselves and that kind of thing. So, hello, Big Family Homestead and Deep South Homestead and Grandpa's Farm. Thanks, guys, for joining us. If you guys don't know, they're part of the Homestead Network with us. And Brad from the Big Family Homestead came up with the idea, so we really appreciate. We're getting all these homesteader YouTubers together, and we're trying to help spread the word between each other, because we all have great content in different areas. Some of us focus on chickens, some focus on gardening, some focus on solar, that kind of thing. So it's really a great collection of people. We are, of course, the Saving Money people. So anyway,
which is good people to be.
Which is good people to be. So we had baby number 1 there. What do you guys think of Mike's mustache? So just ignore my perm. So we had
maybe I should do that again. Gotta get the hair back where I can spend 20 minutes combing it every day.
Yeah, oh yeah, there was the combing hair. Yeah, he would use a lot of mousse back then. So that was baby number 1. And pretty much for baby number 1, I got everything at yard sales and thrift stores. You can see I got the exerciser here. I think I paid $5
That's
for
Ellie, isn't
it.
it?
Well, it is, but
Oh, okay.
this is the same exerciser. We got that one for $5 and stuff like that, which I'm going to go into a little bit more here. But I got all his clothes at garage sales. I maybe spent $5 or $10 for all of his clothes, all of them. We used cloth diapers. It's really not as nasty as you think. On livingonadime.com, we have how to cloth diaper, because just type it in on the search.
It was actually not that hard. And the worst
Yeah.
part was when we were washing them, they would stink really bad. But then Tara figured out to pour vinegar in there.
Yeah,
And
that
then it
took
never
care of it.
smelled again.
Mm-hmm. And we didn't have a dryer at the time. We only had a washer, so I hung everything on the clothesline in the summer, and in the winter I hung everything on racks. So that's how we saved money with the kids. Now, we did end up buying formula because I ended up not being able to breastfeed because it just physically drained me too much. I just physically could not do it. It was just too hard on me. So we did end up buying formula for him. But that wasn't that bad. It was like $15 a month back then. It wasn't hardly anything. Then 14 months later, we had baby number 2, little Ellie. And isn't she cute? But when she was born,
Dun dun dun.
when she was born, she had a hole in her lung. And you cannot tell in this picture, but the hospital that she was born in, or both of them were born in, was a 10-bed total hospital.
Have you ever seen Little House on the Prairie?
Yeah.
It was pretty much that.
It was a 10-bed hospital, and 2 of the beds were maternity, and pretty much the rest were, emergency type things. But what you can't tell here in the picture very well is right here is a little plastic thing that they had sitting on top of her with this tube.
It's like a cake plate lid
Yeah.
with a hole in it.
It was like she had a cake plate lid over the top of her with this little tube of oxygen, and that's how they kept her alive until Flight for Life came.
That was the best technology they had.
That was the best technology they had. And when Flight for Life came, it was like they had these huge incubator and everything that they were able to put her in. And this picture here, we didn't have our camera or any. Well, what happened was she was born, and they didn't know. Mike said, "Is she supposed to be blue like that?"
Well, no, I said, is she supposed to be breathing like that? Because she was making kind of gurgling sounds that didn't sound like our other son had ever done. And
they said, "Oh yeah, it's fine, no big deal." So I had been in labor for 22 hours with no medication, which I do not recommend. Epidurals are our friends, but I was really worn out, so I really wasn't quite with it. And he left and went home, and I was going to go to sleep. And they come in and they said, you need to call your husband. We're calling Flight for Life. And I was like, what? So they said, we're taking a picture of her now in case something happens. You'll at least have this picture of her. And this was the picture here this was the picture they took. And I was just like, wait a minute, this could be the last picture of my child? So Mike came up to the hospital. He got there about the time Flight for Life got there, because we lived about 30 or so minutes from the hospital. And Flight for Life got there.
Little House on the Prairie hospital.
Yeah. And he was going to go ahead and go with them, but then I wouldn't have a way to get to Spokane to see her. And so he decided to go ahead and wait, and we just literally, Mike watched her go off into a blizzard because it was a blizzard.
Yeah, I followed the ambulance out to this Crop Duster Airport 5 miles outside of town in the complete darkness, and it was super, super dark, and there was a blizzard. And the plane took off into the darkness, and I was standing there alone, and I felt like, what's his name, George Bailey, standing out there in the snow. And I thought, Lord, she's in your hands now. And
it was bad.
It was definitely a growth experience.
Yeah, that blizzard.
Well, she was always in your hands, right?
Yeah, that blizzard triggered 8 women to go into labor that came to a 10-bed hospital. And I am not exaggerating. Thankfully, I was the first one there. I got the labor room. But they were in the hallway giving birth. They were in the operating room giving birth. They were in the closet giving birth in this hospital.
Just to let you know how far in the middle of nowhere we live, they sent all the nuns down from the monastery in the mountains there.
To help nurse.
To help get everybody taken care of.
It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So when that happened, then we incurred $12,000 of medical bills because the insurance refused to pay for the Flight for Life. To save her life, but
And
you
the
know.
Flight for Life was an airplane from Nez Perce, Idaho, which was in north central Idaho, to Spokane, Washington, which was a 5 hours drive for us. It was obviously more direct in the blizzard, but then they had to transfer her on a helicopter from the airport to I almost said the hotel, the hospital.
To the hospital, yeah.
And so that's where that expense came from.
Yeah.
But she's worth it.
She is worth it. But then we had that whole thing was an ordeal in itself, actually. But she was in the hospital then for 10 days, 10 days, I think. And then she got pyloric stenosis. So then,
which means her stomach valve wasn't fully developed, and it would kept closing, and she was starving to death.
Yeah, she was pretty much starving to death because she would throw up every time she would eat. She would throw up, and I am not exaggerating. It would hurl 6 feet across the room. And Mom was helping me because he was working in Washington, 100 miles away, and he was only home 3 days and 4 nights a week. And so it was horrible. Well, then we found out she had the pyloric stenosis, got her the medicine, and then we had to put her on $250 a month formula. And when you're making $15 an hour and spending about...
That was the most we'd ever made up to that point.
That was a lot of money for us. But we had to spend an additional $400 a month for rent and food for him, and then additional gas for him to drive 100 miles each way. So our expenses had gone up. So even though the income went up, by the time we had to pay for the formula and pay for him to go to work, we weren't any more ahead.
And just in case you're wondering, the other option was we could have moved closer to where I worked, but the house would have cost 4 times as much as our house that we lived in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was kind of a difficult scenario because I worked for Washington State University, which was really the only professional type employer in town.
Yeah.
So...
let's see. Tanya said we need to write a life story. Yeah, us and Mom both need to, because actually there's a whole bunch of stuff that went on in between all of this. Like when we were at the hospital for our daughter when she was in NICU when she was born, our car broke down, and we were literally, as a matter of fact,
somebody had arranged for us to stay at the Ronald McDonald House, and we didn't know how that happened, but
yeah. So they arranged for us to stay at the Ronald McDonald House, but we had to pay $10 a night to stay there. And we were like, we have no idea how we're going to pay this. We can't afford to pay $10 a night.
But we were still thankful for it.
I mean, we were thankful, but we had no idea where we were going to come up with the $10 every night to pay for it. And so then our car broke down. And we were just like, okay, Lord, what are we going to do? And I told Mike, I said, I can't deal with this. I said, you are just going to have to figure it out. I am too tired. I can't even think about it. Yeah. So he was, how did you find the place?
Well, I told the guy at the Ronald McDonald's house, I said, man, is there anything that you can tell us, any place we can take this car? We're just so overwhelmed right now. And he said, we'll take care of it. No problem. So he said, just give me the keys. So he took the car. We went up to the hospital. Should I tell the rest of the story?
Yeah, go ahead.
So after spending the day up in the hospital in the neonatal unit with Ellie whenever we could get in there, we went to get the car later in the day, and they drove us over there to get it. And I just went into the building, and I said, hey, how much is that going to cost? And they were like, oh, it's nothing. I said, what? I thought it sounded like it was pretty serious. They said, oh, it was no big deal. It's fine. Yeah, it's covered. Just go ahead and take the car. It's like, wow, okay, well, thanks. And so I'm walking out to get to the car, and I look up, and there's a sign that says Divine Automotive. And they're still in Spokane, so if you get a chance to go by there,
tell them thank you from us, because...
But we felt like that was a sign that,
we knew God was watching over us, because, it was horrible. But then to have our daughter... then to have our car break down on top of all that, that's when you know God is real. Because you have things like that happen, and you can be in the worst circumstances. And that's when God takes care of you. But he has to show himself in miraculous ways or people won't believe it. And so you just have to keep having faith and trusting.
We saw that all the time. But but that was the most obvious one. Like, okay, you're just trying to make me laugh here by having me see this sign.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, stop worrying about it. God's going to take care of you. And we're going to do a video on that and more with Mom as soon as we can get Skype fixed, talking about those kinds of things. But anyway, so then we had the 4 of us. So we had the 2 kids and then Mike and I. And once again, look at Mike's mustache and my perm.
Man, maybe I should grow that back again.
No. So,
well, you act like you love it.
So we had the kids. I know, I just think it's funny. So then
when
we
I
had
shaved
the kids.
it, like nobody noticed for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah. So one of the ways we were able to save and have kids and pay off our debt, in case you're just joining us, we paid off $20,000 of debt on $22,000 a year averaged income in 5 years. So our income averaged $22,000 over 5 years, but we still managed to pay off $20,000 of debt and medical bills. And cars. We had a couple of cars crash, so that's included in there. So one of the things we did was I would buy things at garage sales. So like this exerciser, it was, I think, $3 or $5. It was really cheap. And we used that for 2 kids. That rocker in the back there.
That was a dumpster find.
Mike found it in the dumpster.
It was brand new, still in the box with plastic wrapped around all the pieces, but they threw it in the trash because there were 2 screws missing.
So he dug it out.
Tara's like, I've been praying for a rocker, and I'm out of the dumpster throwing things away. I'm like, there's a rocker in the trash, and it's brand new.
And I really wanted a glider rocker, not an old one, but I wanted a glider rocker. And here was a brand new glider rocker in the dumpster. So he went to the hardware store and got
2 screws, cost 20 cents.
Yeah, fixed it. We used it for 2 kids, and then we sold it at a garage sale for $40. So we got a good deal of that. Yeah,
days.
And like the same thing with this. We found this
that was
playhouse.
from the university, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mike, what was the deal in this?
So I worked at Washington State University, and they had a kids, a place where...
Like a daycare.
Like a daycare. Yeah. And for whatever reason, they said, we're not allowed to have this anymore because it's missing some... There was some child safety feature, which was really nothing. I forgot. It wasn't anything significant.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Then they said, so we're just throwing it in the trash. Do you want it? I was like, sure.
So he got this playhouse for our son for free. And then we sold it at the garage sale for like 20 or 25 bucks or something.
And he loved it. He thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, and then I would buy their clothes. Like this little dress here was $1 for Ellie. And
that was a frightening house.
Yeah,
that was a different house.
Yeah, this was a different house. But I would buy like their clothes, and here's another one that they had. They're cute clothes. These are not, ugly by any means. It's not like you're wearing rags. And so I would buy all of our clothes at garage sales, and I spent about $25 a year at that time for the 4 of us to buy all clothes. We did buy Mike and I brand new shoes, but other than that, shoes and underwear, and even Mike and I would buy us new shoes and underwear, but the kids, I got their underwear at garage sales because kids don't, have anything, and I would just throw them in the washer and bleach them. And so we would buy everything we could at garage sales. One of the ways we got out of debt was we bought, do you think it's exaggerating to say we maybe bought 1% of the stuff new? Probably not. Yeah,
we hardly bought anything new. And really, we didn't really need to because we would find so many things. I think we just looked enough, and it's not like we spent all our time looking, but we looked enough to find the good stuff that was there.
Yeah. And April wants to know, do you guys have your own laundry soap? Yes, we do. If you go to livingonadime.com or YouTube, I have a video and an article on that. Mike's looking it up right now, but it's homemade laundry detergent. Type that in and you'll find us. So then another thing we did was we didn't put the kids in tons of activities. Now this is another house, but
they love this kind of activities.
They love doing things like playing in boxes, playing on the swing set, And this is one of the few times we took him to the zoo. We never went to the zoo
in Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah, we never went to children's museums. We didn't have money for that. We got free tickets for this. And so we took the kids to the zoo with the free tickets. But we didn't do that kind of thing. And we would do stuff like Mike would play in the snow with them. And we would build snowmen. And
we had a lot of fun for free.
Yeah, we just did a lot of things for free.
And it's funny because we did occasionally pay for something, and they remember the free stuff, and they really don't remember the paid stuff.
No, they don't. And the thing is like for birthdays and stuff, I would make, this was BJ's second birthday, so like I made his Bob and Larry cake here for him, and I made Ellie's Blues Clues cake for her, and then we made an Ariel cake. We put Ariel on top and made an Ariel cake. So we didn't have elaborate birthday parties. I am mortified when I find people spending $500 to $5,000 on their kid's first birthday party. That is absolutely ridiculous, and there is no reason for it. I'm sorry, period, there's not. If you are in debt and you owe money, you should not be spending money on these things. You need to be paying off your debt, and that's exactly what we did. And that kind of thing really annoys me when people say, well, I don't have the money to pay off my debt. But if you are in debt, that means, especially if you're a Christian, that means you're telling God that the money that you have given me is not enough. And you are not going to be able to provide for me, God. So I'm going to go out and get into debt to provide for myself. And it's just wrong.
Well, in some things, we could have charged that rocking chair.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're not a Christian, this may not mean anything to you, but we could have charged that rocking chair, but we know where it came from.
But God
it cost 20 cents to us.
Yeah, he sent me a basically free rocking chair that he knew I wanted and I desired. But, it was right there. It was exactly, we can give you, and we will give you story after story where there's things that we actually wanted and desired that were provided for free or cheap. Like my lamp we showed at the beginning of the show. This one right here. Oops, can we do it? My new Tiffany lamp there. That was $35 for a $400 and some odd lamp. I've always wanted one of these in my kitchen.
And you have a handy husband who's
and
able to put it up.
Husband, and he's handsome too. And so, yeah, we never took a vacation. The only vacation we would take would be back to Colorado to visit our family. And if anybody who's visited family knows, usually it's not a vacation if you're visiting family.
Preach it, girl.
Especially when it's this side of the family.
I'm not going to argue.
So we would go to the mountains, and it was very stressful, actually, having to deal with the family. And it was not a relaxing vacation by any means. So, but we would do it just to get out, just to get out of the house. And so then,
that says I think most Americans have too much stuff, period. And I have to say, that is so true.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's the feeling that you need stuff to make you happy.
Yeah, it is.
Because stuff doesn't make you happy.
And, it's stuff like, and all the homestead guys on there, I need help. Or if anybody's handy, I need help. So another thing we did was we did our own stuff. So, like, we would put in our drip irrigation or our sprinklers and all that kind of stuff ourselves. We did all of that. So I have a question while we're popping in here. So all of you handy people, handy guys, handy women, do you see this 90-degree L for the drip? How in the world do I get this in an easy way? There has got to be an easier way. We cannot get it shoved on there. We've tried wiggling it back and forth. We can't get it in there. I tried taking the pliers and opening up the end. It's not going in there. We use soap.
I think we used a hammer the last time.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, on an elbow once.
Yeah, but I can't hammer it into the spots where I'm having to put these in. So please put in the comments if you guys know how to put this in easy in the drip tube. I really need help. And that's another way we saved money was when we needed stuff done. we would either, like, when we had to move and sell our house and nobody wanted the purple house, I painted the house myself, you know, changed it so that it was painted myself. And we ask our friends to help us if we need help. So when our dishwasher broke, we asked our handy neighbor if he could see what we were missing for things that we can't figure out ourselves. We'll ask friends or family to help us. And most people are more than willing. And when they do, I'll take them some brownies.
Well, we'll do something for them a lot too. Because
Yeah.
we have skills.
Yeah, so I'll help them with their landscaping, or they'll help us with our dishwasher problem. Or I'll make them some brownies as a thank you, that type of thing. So ask for help. And that's another thing with this homesteading, prepping kind of mentality. You need to make friends with your neighbors and get a network of people that can help you out, that are willing to help you. And even like my kids wanted a Bob and Larry pajamas when they were little. So Mom took and found these t-shirts at the thrift store, and then she went to the store and spent like $1 on a quarter yard of Bob and Larry material, and then she just sewed all the Bob and Larrys on there. And so that's another way that we did it.
And BJ had a Bob and Larry that we got at garage sales, and he would roll them up in his sleeve
Yeah.
like a cigarette pack.
He loved
He
it.
thought it was funny to carry them up there.
Yeah, and so then, you know, we would have fun just doing little things at home. So like when baby number 3 came, I didn't tell Mike, but this was how I told him. When we put up our Halloween decorations and he came home from work. And so I did little things like that. We don't do Halloween decorations anymore, but you know, I announced it in cute ways. Or like when baby number 4 came along, I put it on a pumpkin in the front yard. I had 6 pumpkins, and you know, I put names on each pumpkin, and then when number 4, I said, you know, baby K
I was
number
still
4.
totally surprised. Like, I had no clue.
So, you know, we would
Grandpa realized it.
Yeah, my
80-year-old grandfather.
Yeah, my 80-year-old grandfather was there at the time when I found out, and he actually got it before anyone else. And so, yeah, but I mean, we would do little things like that. Or like we celebrate our anniversary twice a day. When it's 10/22, we tell each other happy anniversary.
So those are fun things.
Yeah, so...
Also, though, Terry mentioned something which I think is really, really critically important. That you should always ask, do I really want or need this before you dish out tons of money?
Yeah.
And that was the thing. I always thought I wanted stuff, but when I would buy it, I started to realize once I have it, I don't want it as much as I want it before I have it.
Yeah, and pretty much, you know, what we did was we refused to go into debt more. Period.
Yeah, after we got out.
We have paid cash for everything except our house, and that is getting, well, not close to paid off, but we're trying to get it paid off. We have not been in debt since then. We have no credit card debt, no student loans, no car payments, no debt, period. After we got married, we did have a couple of cars that we put on our credit cards that were $1,500. But even then, we realize now we shouldn't have done that. We should have just waited and figured it out. But that's kind of part of learning. But after we got that $5,000 paid off, we never went into debt again for anything. We have paid cash for everything. And we have never made more than, 1 year in 2009, the business did really well. We made like $90,000 that year, but we put, let's see, it was $40,000 or $45,000 to pay off our house that year also. And we've had tons of medical bills. I have had medical bills out the wazoo. We've had kids' medical bills. The thing is you can keep doing it. And
the thing about it is, if you're standing there with a credit card and you think, I really want this or I really need this, you're contemplating whether you should steal from yourself in the future. In that future date, what we've discovered is in that future day, you say, wow, I really paid that person that charged that. And now
Yeah.
I have to be responsible, and I probably don't even have that item
Yeah.
anymore. Actually, it's interesting. Tasha said I always put things on a wish list and then go back and look a month later, and rarely do I find I still want the things on that list.
Yeah. And another thing is when we need something, like when we moved to this house, we sold all of our furniture and we had no beds, nothing. We put the word out, hey, if you have a bed you're getting rid of, we need beds, we need dressers. We got, and I'm not exaggerating, we got almost all, I'm trying to think if we even bought anything at all. We did not.
When
we moved here. We got all of our furniture for free. All of it for free. Or I did buy a couple pieces at garage sales that were $20 or less. And I probably spent $150 to furnish this entire house for 6 people. The only thing we brought was our kitchen table, our bed, and a couple of antique pieces like a secretary and a roll-top desk that I had from growing up. But all the beds, all the desks, all the chairs, all the couches, sitting chairs, kitchen chairs, everything for 6 people was either given to us or we spent about $150 total, I think, on everything. So you don't have to spend a lot. Ask people what, or tell people what you need, and they will help you.
Sarah likes your new haircut.
Oh,
A couple
thank
people
you.
said that.
Actually, I hate it, so thank you. This was not the look I was going for. I was trying to keep it longer, but thank you.
Do we need to wrap soon?
Okay, so we need to wrap soon, so we've got about 5 minutes. So first, let me put a couple of plugs in. We'll answer a couple questions real quick, but first,
Go
check
ahead.
out the Homestead Network. We have a ton of people that we've collaborated with. They're great. They have a lot of great ideas. Deep South Homestead is on next. I think they're going to be live. I haven't been reading the comments, but I think they're going to be live. Check them out. Go to YouTube and check out Deep South Homestead. And we've got several people. Big Bear Homestead has just joined, and we've got the Big Family Homestead. They could use your support right now. They're having a lot of medical problems, and they really could use your support also. And of course, please don't forget to support us. We have our books. Dining is not on sale this week, but we have all of our other books are 50% off. Go grab them. We are not reprinting these. So if you want any of these quick and easy menus from a dime, penny pension, how mom, 500 ways mom lived on $500 a month, and our dig out of debt. Those are all 50% off until Tuesday. And go to livingonadime.com. Please check us. Give us a thumbs up. We can always use your thumbs up, guys, and subscribe. So let me see if I can get 1 or 2 questions in before we...
Terry's asking if Deep South is on Facebook. I
Don't think so. I think
we're
they're
the
only
only
on
ones that are
YouTube.
doing both.
Yeah.
Julie says if it isn't on sale, don't buy it.
Yeah, pretty much. If it's not on sale or at a garage sale, don't buy it. Yeah. Or thrift store.
Yeah. Kimberly
Do
says
we have
first-
a budget? Mike put a link on there to our budget. We don't really...
It was our budget from
Yeah, it's been our budget from...
last 10 years ago. or
Yeah,
something.
from a while back. We haven't put
But
our...
it's still the same concept.
Yeah. Everybody says, well, that was 10 years ago. It's the same principles. You may be earning more money, and, your car insurance may be a little bit higher, house payment, but it's the same principles. So Mike put it on there.
Kimberly says they furnished her sweetie's office through a local buy-sell trade site.
Yeah. Craigslist is great. Free Cycle is great. All of those.
A couple of more people saying if they don't have the money, they don't buy it. Oh, somebody, I forgot what she said. She said she had there was a saying about if you don't. It was I can't remember what it was. It was about the money. Never mind.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things, and like Amazon, we have a lot of links in our descriptions. If you click on those Amazon links, even if you don't purchase the product, but you purchase something else, we get a small amount of that. So they're affiliate links, and that's how you can support us. Someone was asking, how can they support us? That's how you can support us. If you click on that Amazon link, and even if you don't buy that particular product, then we get a small percentage of whatever you do buy. But Amazon is a great way to get some good deals.
And have them delivered right to the house.
And you don't have to go to the store to
It's
buy
the same
it.
thing with our grocery shopping that we
Yeah.
mentioned before. Oh,
But,
I shouldn't have said that at
like,
the end of the show.
Yeah, but like my labels that I need for my soap, because I make handmade soap, I needed them today. So I took my phone in to Staples and they price matched the Amazon price, which was $4 cheaper. So those are the ways that we were able to pay off all the debt. Everybody says, well, how do I do it? It's all the little tiny things that keep adding up. It's buying the strawberries for 99 cents instead of $1.98. It's buying the clothes for $1 instead of $20.
And one other quick thing I forgot. If you can get to a point where you don't need it this very second, and you can say, I'm looking for this, I need it in the next 30 to 60 days, that opens up a world of possibilities at garage sales and thrift stores and freebies.
Yeah. So if Mike needs some new church clothes, well, he didn't need them today. He had enough clothes that he wasn't going to go naked to church. But
good thing for the people in church.
but I was able to look at the thrift store and find those clothes. But I got, today, I got him $200 worth of church clothes for about $7 or $8, I think. Yeah.
Cheapskate.
I know.
Nobody will know the difference either.
And you love me.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, that's how we paid it off. Please go check out Deep South Homestead and the Homestead Network, and go to livingonadime.com. Have a great day. We'll talk more on this later.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh, and Monday we're on at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Bye.